logging in. Great. And yes, here they come. Some more students are coming, joining.
Maybe we
Uh,
can wait a couple minutes if you
okay,
prefer, so we have the whole group with us.
that's a good idea. Yeah, just in case. Yeah, so
I like the background, by the way. It's
oh
very
yes, I'm in the
relaxing.
Caribbean in my mind. Yes, I think we're on in this photo where I believe we're on St. Lucia looking towards Martinique. So yes,
Mm,
fond memories.
beautiful.
Oh goodness. Yes. And then on Monday, we will have another Fulbright scholar visiting us. I've told the students that we have right now at Nebraska Wesleyan, we have a visiting Fulbright scholar from Zimbabwe who is in the psychology department.
Mhm.
And he'll be visiting us on Monday. We'll be talking a bit about sub-Saharan African migration to the U.S. And so, students, I wanted to let you all know that for Monday's class, we will be back in the classroom. We will be meeting in person. I apologize for the confusion on, uh, I believe it was on Friday. I made a mistake on one of the assignments, and but I hope everyone was able to get something out of the film despite my not making this a discussion where you could read others' responses. But at any rate, we'll be back on schedule on Monday, and we'll be reading the article, very short article on sub-Saharan African migrants to the U.S. And for your attendance question, we won't necessarily do it at the beginning of class, but on Monday, I would like for you all to have a question in mind for Professor Maseko, particularly knowing that his area is psychology. I know some of you are particularly interested in mental health issues, um, and think about look at the announcement that lists his various areas of expertise and think about a question that you would like to ask him. And so sometime during the period on Monday, I would love for everybody to have a question or a comment for Professor Maseko. Okay, so I'd love to hear from all of you during that class time. Okay, so and um, let's see, do we have I think we have most everybody. I know at least one person said they could not
Mhm.
be here today, so there might be one more joining us, but otherwise, I think we have everyone. And again, I am just absolutely delighted to welcome for the third time to a group at Nebraska Wesleyan Professor Dr. Abla Hasan, who has a PhD in philosophy and teaches Arabic and gender studies and has expertise in chronic studies, a very wide range expertise. I was delighted when you agreed to join us for the faith and feminism discussion way back in 2017. And then again during the pandemic when we had our COVID and Cultures webinar with scholars not only such as yourself, but also scholars from Rwanda and India talking about how different countries have dealt with COVID and the international implications of COVID. And so you have graciously donated your time out of the goodness of your heart to visit with my class of first year students looking at migration. And I would love it if the students could turn on their cameras. That would be great if you're in a place where you're able to do that. And please uh, give a warm welcome to our guests and be ready for some lively conversation. She's already read your questions, and I'll turn it over to you, Abla.
Thank you so much. You're a great event organizer and a wonderful friend. I will never say no to your invitation, especially after you shared with me a list of questions from students. As I was sharing with your professor, these questions, according to Arab standards, are not personal at all. These are just warm questions that reflect that we do care. Especially in the Arab culture, we ask a lot of personal questions. Probably American standards won't be accepted just to show, okay, sometimes we go a little bit, too far with that, but sometimes like it's because we care, we ask all these questions. So I'm gonna go over your list of questions, try my best to answer some of them or maybe all of them. But then, since probably you noticed I'm recording, then I'm gonna pause the recording. I always leave some time for more, you know, like conversation without recording it. Maybe you want to go over another question or ask a question you didn't want to ask before, or anything you prefer. So let me start with this cute question. How did immigration affect your life leading up to now? So to give you a little bit about my background, I'm from Syria, and I've been in Lincoln for 15 years. I came here as a student, as a Fulbright exchange student. I got my degrees here. So I got both my master's degree in philosophy and my PhD in the degree in philosophy of language. And the year I was graduating, UNL were starting, or they wanted to hire someone to start an Arabic studies program. And I was lucky enough to be that person. I'm the founder of the Arabic Studies program at UNL. So proud that today we offer minor in Arabic studies, 2 years of Arabic language, and courses on Arabic culture offered in English. I'm going to share with you this story. This story, by the way, now it's getting like, it's like a boring story to my students who study Arabic, because I keep telling them this story since they study language with me. But for you, since you don't know the story, I'll share with you. So literally, like, how did immigration affect your life? Or I would say, how did learning English affected my life? Literally, learning English, which led me to coming to the United States, literally saved my life. Not only my life, saved my families, and I mean by that the immediate family lives. When I was back in Syria, I remember I was hired as a graduate teaching assistant, which according to Damascus University, like, I was already a faculty, so all what I needed is to get my PhD in hand, to start teaching my own courses as a faculty member. And according to my specialization, I had the chance to study my master's degree and my PhD degree in either United Kingdom, UK, or United States. But I had, like any other international student, to go through studying English first. And like my students, my own students now at UNL, my own kids who learn Arabic as adults, and sometimes they complain about it. It's hard to learn language when you're not bilingual, or not, it's not your heritage language. It's hard to do it as an adult. I tell them, I know exactly what you mean, because I did the same. But at that time, I took it very serious. And this is literally what saved my life. I didn't know back then that learning English is going to be the way for me to get the Fulbright scholarship in the first place, and then to come to the United States to get the admission from UNL. Because as you know, international students, you need to get the TOEFL and the GRE first to be accepted to graduate programs. So literally, immigration, I would say, through or like getting a job, because later on I was hired and my paperwork was done through my job. So it was all about saving my life, my family's life. Therefore, maybe my advice will be to you: anything you do, take your time doing it. Be serious about it. You're investing your time, your energy anyway doing it, right? So you're here in this wonderful class or course, for example. Take it serious. Take anything you're already doing, take it serious. You never know where that will take you. Like you, I was a student one time, and some students in the class were just whining and complaining about the English, you know, the hard English grammar, right? Because Arabic is notorious to be a difficult language, but there is only when it comes to tenses, at least tenses, English is way more difficult and complex to Arab speakers than Arabic language itself. So instead of complaining about something, just take it serious, be in love with it, you're doing it anyway. You never know the doors this experience will open for you. Another question, another cute question: what was the main factor that brought you to the United States? So probably I already answered this question. I came here as a Fulbright exchange student. That was back in 2007. I came to do my master's degree back then at UNL Philosophy Department. What were your first impressions on the US before coming and shortly after arriving? Here probably I'll share. Oh my goodness, this takes me back in time. You're taking me back 15 years now. And maybe I can speak about my impressions when I first arrived. So as you can tell, as you can see, I'm a veiled Muslim woman. And for a reason, I don't know why. So it was a long international flight. I'm not going to name the other airport I had to go through before arriving to Chicago International Airport. I had to leave my husband. I came only with my oldest son because his visa, he was issued his visa later, like he took 1 month. So I arrived earlier and I was crying, like 12 hours flight crying, right? I was already annoyed. Maybe I was reflecting my feelings. One flight attendant was mean to me. Maybe he wasn't mean at all. Maybe it's me just, you know, trying to get an excuse just to cry. But I had people staring at me. And this stopped, not in a nice way, okay? Not in a friendly way. This only stopped. And I still remember the moment I felt peace and safe when I arrived Chicago Airport. Staring stopped. And this is something I still appreciate as an outsider. Let me tell you about the American culture. People don't stare even at someone who looks veiled in a way they're not used to or dressed in a way they're not used to. I appreciate this. They don't stare at you. Until today, sometimes I catch people, you're looking at me, and they give you a big smile, right? They give you a big smile. So it's a friendly culture when it comes to body language. So this was my first impression that I still have until today. And it got even better after I arrived Lincoln, Nebraska. And I can tell you until today, it's getting better and better. I arrived with my son who was 3 years old, and people just wanted to have cool discussions, short conversations about weather, talking to my kid who didn't know English back then, just the basics, ABC maybe, no more than that. And this is something I still appreciate about the culture in Nebraska here, like nice people, friendly people. The culture of, or the habit of saying hi, right? Never underestimate the power of a smile, especially for someone who looks different, right? Even in the Islamic culture, we consider smiling a charity. If you don't have anything to give today, at least smile at someone. And I would say with confidence, after living 15 years in Nebraska, it feels like home. And it started from that minute that I felt peace and safe after arriving here. It's the simple things, the simple things. Today, sometimes when I drive my kids to school, strangers, because now you know the city of Lincoln is a center for immigrants, so people know the basics about greeting people. So I'm realizing, and probably this was one of the questions that I read about the improvement and the advancement of Arabic in the US. So people now approach me saying Salamu alaikum, like in an American beautiful accent, or marhaba, right? Just the basics, which means a lot, which means you're welcomed. It's a home for you. We want you to feel that. At least I had a student, I have students take Arabic for a variety of reasons. And there's this reason that I shared in so many talks, because I can never forget Matt, who goes with his Arabic name as well, Yahya. He took with me only 101. And the reason was to welcome immigrants in their native language, he said. That's very sweet. I will never forget Matt or Yahya, wherever you're here at Lincoln. So this is my first impression as I arrived the US and shortly after that. Another question says, was it hard to get the United States and start a new life here? Did you know English when you arrived in the US? So nothing great is easy, right? This is what they say. I had to get admission. I had to get my TOEFL, my GRE. At the time I was married, I was a teacher. I was teaching my own courses at Damascus University. I had a son. I had a lot of responsibility, but I was determined to continue my high education. And since my specialization at the time, when I started, it was British philosophy. It's ironic how life takes you places. But at least I wanted to study in English. So I was like, I had in my, I need to go either to UK or to the United States to get the right, to expose to the right kind of education, and then to come back to my country as an expert on this topic. So I had my own share of challenges, like any student, right? But it's rewarding. This is what matters. Did you know English? I knew a little bit. I got degrees. I got some certificates, but I studied as an adult, and it's the English you get in books, right? It's not the everyday English. It's not the conversations. And I still remember this happened to me and happened to my husband when he arrived as well, 1 month after me. Like, what is the first thing you do when you arrive in a new country? You go to the bank to start to get an account, right? To like start buying things and all of that, to get a card. And I still remember when we like stopped by to do that, I almost couldn't understand what the guy was telling me, because I sounded very fast to me. This is not the English we learn in courses. This is not the English we read in books. And I was like, oh my goodness, I won't be able to survive in this country. I know no English in this country, but you get used to it. It's just the speed of saying things. And I believe, like, I don't know how many of you, you're learning a different language, a foreign language. The language you learn in books, in curriculum, this is different and from real life, conversations. And therefore, I highly encourage you to consider study abroad programs. Nowadays you have YouTube as well. By the way, like for a dinosaur like me, YouTube back then was not an educational. I don't even remember if we had YouTube back then. So these cool ways of knowing about cultures and countries you don't live in and people you don't, know was not that available to us. Still TVs, TV, shows, movies, but no more than that. Now you can just go to, for free, YouTube channels to teach you languages. All of that, we didn't have that back then. What kind of hardships have you had to face while here, and how you deal with them? The hardship I deal with is what is common to every woman like me. I have 3 boys, 3 kids at home, and I have more kids at school. I teach for UNL. It's the balance I need to have between my professional life, my personal life. Nothing unique, nothing extra, nothing additional. I mean, nothing additional that comes from the fact that I'm an immigrant or I'm a veiled Muslim woman. I know this is the expectation, but, for me to say, thanks God, I never had any experience that I can even mention or remember, other than the daily life, the stress that I'm sure all of you already have in your lives, trying to do so many things in such limited time, right? Having only 24 hours to do everything we would like to get accomplished by the end of the day. Um, what were some of the greatest barriers you had to break down here in the United States, and have they changed throughout the years? Has the way people see and interact with you changed over the years? If so, in what way also? How did you feel at first versus now? Probably when it comes to barriers, I would say it's not everyday interact with people. It was, as I shared with you, friendly from day one, but probably it's more related to my mission, to my academic interest. So I teach Quranic studies, I teach women in the Quran, I teach about Islam, I teach love, sexuality in the Arabic culture. And as you're all aware of that, Islamophobia is growing in the West. This is not a secret. Stereotypes surrounding the lives of Muslim women, hijab, modesty, their rights, the humanitarian message of the Quran. So probably these are challenges that I like, because I take them as motivations. They keep me motivated to do more when it comes to research and teaching. They motivate me also to do more when it comes to interfaith dialogue, which is already thriving. I've seen a lot of beautiful efforts here in Lincoln, and we can always do more. So challenges then, I would say, to summarize my point, challenges I face are not personal challenges, because I'm blessed when it comes to my personal life. I'm blessed with my students, with my colleagues, but challenges that face any Muslim woman in the United States when it comes to what is the reality of this religion. And part of these questions, by the way, it's not answering the other, whoever the other is. Part of it is answering yourself. Like, is it the right answer, right? Sometimes because people like see you like a veiled Muslim woman, they think of you as a walking encyclopedia of Islam. Like you're ready to answer any question. Many times my favorite answer is, I don't know, this is not my expertise. I just do my best. But sometimes like these questions from others ignite your own curiosity. So what is the right answer to this question? And many times what happens, and this is not unique to Islam or to Muslims, it happens to all of us. Because we're born in a religion, we think we know everything about that religion, which is not true, right? The majority, unfortunately, of Muslims, they don't even read Quran. The majority of Christians, they don't read the Bible. This is, we're all guilty of that, all of us, right? But these questions allow all of us to go into a journey to try to get the right answer. And I don't mean the right answer, the right someone told me or handed to me as the truth, but to go and search for it for myself. Is there any moment you can remember that made you feel less American in the US or less Syrian in Syria? I like this question. So I never went back to Syria since 2009. I came here 2007, went shortly 2009 to renew my visa. And that was very short, never went back to Syria for obvious reasons since then. But I can comment on something that happened to me recently when I felt, it was a very weird feeling, I felt less Arab. And that was when I was invited to give a presentation in a Zoom conference in Arabic, and it's an academic conference. And to my own surprise, after 15 years of doing Islamic studies in English, I felt I'm more comfortable, because this is the language of my research now. I'm more comfortable saying things in English. writing in English when it comes to Quranic studies and Islamic studies. Still, my everyday life, I'm more comfortable Arabic, but the academic language, my professional language now, since the training I got in the US, let's say, all my research was conducted in English, but it felt like, I felt like something like, seriously, Abla, so now you're losing your academic Arabic? I believe I need some time, like orientation, to go back to feeling that comfortable using it. The other thing about language, and this is something I share as a teacher of Arabic myself to my students, if you don't know, or if you're not studying a second language, get a second language, because you're getting a second personality, And recently in a conversation with one of my friends in the German program here at UNL, she shared the same with me. So we teach, I'm a reformist, I'm a feminist when it comes to Islamic studies. And I teach on sexuality in the Arabic culture. I teach sex and gender around the globe. We're more outgoing when it comes to these topics when we use the second language. And she shared that with me. There's something I couldn't explain, psychological maybe, but here's the thing. If you remember that all the taboos, all the aib in Arabic, or shame, right? The concept of shame, or sensitive topics, people teach us that this is sensitive, this is topic, don't say that, say this, right? But with your second language, you're in control. So you're speaking about the same topic, but now it's my second personality, which was never censored by others, right? It's a joy. In a recent documentary, I was surprised as a teacher of language myself, that there was an advice. If you want to make a decision and you want that decision to be rational and less emotional, let's say more logical, less emotional, second, think of that decision in your second language, not your first language. I think that was very interesting. I don't know if you probably you'd like to try that, because when you use your second language now, doesn't come with that same amount of, let's say, energy or vibes or emotions, or because words, after a while of living them, words, they have emotions, they have history, they have images, they have even, they smell a certain way, right? For example, if I say Christmas, I smell cinnamon. I don't know why, right? So you're thinking words without the emotional connotations when you try to use the second language. A long answer for a short but interesting question. There's also another interesting question. What has it been like for someone of Islamic faith to pursue their dreams in this country? And do you think that there should be more Islamic leaders? Do you feel people still seek to give Islam a negative connotation? And how do you feel about the word as its meaning? Personally, the US for me is a country, I would say that for big dreamers, you can dream big in the United States. You can be yourself. Something I highly appreciate about life in the US is the high appreciation of individualism. Because to be a leader, first of all, you have to be yourself, right? You have to be faithful to your authentic voice, regardless of what others think of your voice, right? It all starts from there. Every one of us, we have something to contribute, something to give, something unique. If you're obsessed under the pressure from everyone else just to fit within the group, whoever your group is, you will live peacefully maybe, but you won't allow the leader inside of you to be out there. And therefore, allowing individualism in the United States is what's allowing all these opportunities to become a reality. And therefore I say it's a country for big dreamers. More Islamic leaders, for sure, more leaders, any type of leaders. Just be yourself, be the beautiful leader you can be, because we're all leaders in a way or another. Only if we can listen and listen carefully to the unique contribution we can bring, right? There is no single person void of talent, void of, to use probably theological terms, we're all divine in a way or another. We're all here for a purpose or for a mission, that only by being honest to the voice, the divine voice inside of you, you can understand, and you can then translate, and third, you can share with others. Negative connotations, for sure, unfortunately. We need to start every time from the basics. Like probably you heard this cliche so many times, like Islamic imams and scholars, they start their talks with this cliche: Islam is driven from the word salam, which means peace, right? It's repetitive, but it's as if no one is hearing it anymore. There is a long way to go, we should admit. And it starts with Muslims themselves. So some questions come from the other, whoever the other is, and some questions need to be answered by Muslims themselves. And Islam is not different from any other movement or religion. We need to keep struggling with identifying the problems we have, moving forward with them. So even within Islam itself, there is this need to keep questioning how to move on with our current problems, right? Of course, it doesn't mean that I was affected personally, as I mentioned from the beginning, with any incident. I'm so grateful with any incident, 15 years in the United States, of someone being, mean to me because I'm a Muslim woman or I'm a veiled Muslim woman. Probably Islamophobia doesn't live in Lincoln, Nebraska, right? Or in Nebraska even. We're grateful for that. Have you noticed a large growth in the practice of Arabic language in the United States in recent years? If so, what are some of the contributing factors? There is interest, there's a huge interest in the Arabic language. It's considered critical language, so it's supported by your government. But also I see a huge interest in the Arabic culture and in the Islamic culture as well. Many students take my courses and the program's courses that are offered in English, even if they want to avoid taking Arabic because they're already taking other languages, or because they believe Arabic is difficult, or anything like that. So now we offer a minor in Arabic studies at UNL due to the interest in language. And it's very beautiful. I teach language starting from 101, ending with 304 with the advanced. It's the moment when your students, they come to the program, they don't even know the alphabet. When they start saying their first words in Arabic, with no exaggeration, it feels like when my own kids started saying their first words. It's so beautiful. And I know all teachers of language share that with me. When your students start, like, first there's instruction and suddenly they start expressing themselves in the new language. It's very rewarding experience, I would say. What is something important to Arabs, or Arabs cherish about their own culture, life values, expectations, and beliefs? The family, the connection to the families is a big deal in the Arabic culture. The community support is a big deal in the Arabic culture. I always tell my students, if there is a insurance company interested in starting a branch in some cities in the Middle East, they will declare bankruptcy in probably in 2 weeks, because it's the support from others. There's always someone there. You know, you need only your phone. Sometimes all what you need is your phone to call someone, and they're there for you. So the community support, some basics in the language, in the culture. For example, there's the circle debke dance. I don't know if you heard about this, when people hold hands and they dance in weddings, in parties. So there's this collective feelings that you're safe because you're surrounded with someone. Doesn't take place with no costs at times. I need to admit that, because many times if you're very individualistic in your approach, you know, sometimes people will question that. So the support doesn't come free from pressure to fit into the group at times, right? But if you need the support, right, there is support, but sometimes you need to at least find a way to communicate your thoughts to others. Generosity and hospitality. Students who go to the Middle East, they know about that. Arabs are the only people who fight over who's paying the bill. And it's not in a bad way, it's in a good way. So I'm paying. So you're inviting your friends, you're going somewhere. It's very seldom, it's very rare that everyone pay for themselves. And it's mutual. So it happens without arrangement that I'm paying for you today. Next time we go, someone will pay, or you pay for me. But it's out of generosity that you fight over the bill. Sometimes we do that with my friends from the Arab community here, and the cashier is just like, get done with this, ladies, get done with this. We need to do, like, I noticed that. I still remember back in Syria, and no offense, I need to share this with you. We use, like, we're going like together to a restaurant or something. We say, who's paying? Or would you like to do it the American way? And this is one of the stereotypes, probably, like the American way, everyone paying for themselves. They're not ready, you know, to share with others. Because the stereotypes, by the way, they go both ways. And part of I take it as my mission as a woman who lived 15 years from the Middle East, who lived 15 years here, to try to deal with the stereotypes from both sides. Because many times Americans, they beat themselves up thinking they're the only people who stereotype others. Others do that all the time. And the only cure to that is to do things together, to learn each other's languages, to be together, to open these doors, right? Many times it's not a class or a lecture, it's being with the other. Hospitality is a big thing in the Arabic culture as well. So when you go to someone's house, expect a huge meal. And the rule is, every time your plate is empty, it needs to be like filled with food again. So be careful when you empty the plate the first time. Even if, you know, like, even if the food, you know, Arabs don't go with, I'm really full. They don't go with that. No, you're full, you have to eat more, right? So food, especially cooking food that comes from the heart, is a way of making friends in the Arabic culture. Never say no to food invitation. People will be very offended from the Arabic culture if you do that, because they take it literally as refusing friendship, not rejecting an invitation. If you go somewhere and people, because also it's time consuming. Arabic food is very delicious, but it's time consuming. So 6 hours, like stuffed grape leaves, for example, like 6 hours in the kitchen. So when a lady is there preparing food for you for 6 hours and you don't touch it, it's it's not understood in like the best thing to do. So even if you're full, at least ask for a box to take something so you try later on, I would say. What are your personal experiences with Islamophobia? Never had any bad experience with Islamophobia. I'm so grateful for my 15 years here in Lincoln. Hopefully this will continue. How do you face stereotypes and the hatred that is centered on Islam? Stereotypes they come out of ignorance, nothing like education, opening a conversation. It's a mutual. It happens. I take it as something natural. Like as I was sharing with you, even people in the Middle East, they have their own stereotypes about the American culture. Many times it's just exaggerations, right? So when people call me back home, they think like as a veiled Muslim woman, I'm harassed 24/7. No, people, it's what you see in media. It's not like that. I'm not belittling the experience of some Muslims who report things that happen to them. But I'm thankful nothing happened to me. And also, this is sometimes something my great advisor, Dr. Edward Becker, he keeps sharing with me. He says, Abla, you never see these things because you don't expect them, and because you start, reaching out to the other, and it's easy. Many times barriers, stereotypes, hatred, it's human-made. It's something you expect, or something you see, or something even you create. It's all fabricated, let's say. So if you don't internalize it as this is my experience, probably you won't see it. Maybe it's not the case for others, but I can't speak for others. So with this, probably I'm gonna pause the recording for more questions from you, maybe things I couldn't get to answer now, or maybe a deep discussion on other things.
Great. Wow.